Hey guys, welcome to part 5 of this Blender tutorial, where we are modeling this lemon squeezer. In this part, we'll first unwrap the mesh and then add materials. If you haven't seen the earlier parts, make sure to check them out. So without wasting any time, let's get started. First, let's split the screen and make this shader editor and this UV editor. Now, by selecting the full mesh, go over here in UV and select Smart UV Project. This will unwrap the mesh automatically, but it won't always unwrap correctly and give a clean result. So instead, we'll add seams manually and then unwrap it again for a better result. So here, let's select this full edge, and then here mark seam. Select these edges over here as well, and mark seam. Here, add 2 loop cuts, then select this edge. And on the other side, also select this edge and mark seam. Here, also select these edges and mark seam. And here, mark seam again. Mark seam here as well. Now, by selecting the full object, go over here in UV and select UV Unwrap. Now the mesh is fully UV unwrapped. Now in the shader editor, let's create a new material for this, then add an image texture node. Click New to create a new image, and from the options choose UV Grid, then click OK. And here select the UV Grid image and connect this node to the base color. Now let's go to the material preview mode. Here the UV grid image is applied. On the image texture node, press Ctrl-T to add the mapping nodes. Make sure the Node Wrangler add-on is enabled for this to work. Select the UV map and scale this. Here a seam is needed, so select this edge and add seam. And then again UV unwrap. Here also add seam, and only select the seam part and UV unwrap. Now let's UV unwrap the back object. So let's add seams here on the edges where needed. Turn off all the modifiers. And now select the edges and add seams. For this part, add seams like this so that it gets nicely unwrapped. For the cylinder part, add seams like this as well. Also add seams around the holes and separate them. Okay, so we've added seams everywhere. Now let's UV unwrap this. Okay, now here the UV is projected nicely, and see that it is clean. If needed, we'll add seams and unwrap some parts again later. Now here add the same UV grid material for this part. Here select and scale the UV map and make sure the UV grid texture is the same size as the other object's UV grid texture. Okay, so over here at the back, you can see some wave patterns or ridges, so we'll create that. So here, let's create a new material, and here select this part faces and assign the new material. Let's make it complete metallic, and roughness bring down and make 0.05. Now let's add a wave texture and press Ctrl T for mapping. Here connect UV. Now let's add a bump node and connect this into height and this into normals. Now we got the wave type design, so let's adjust it correctly. So here, let's tweak these parameters and try to get the wave design pattern like we can see in the reference image. Okay, so here the UV map, how it is projected is not right. So let's unwrap this part correctly again. So select these edges over here and mark seam. Select this edge here also and mark seam. Then select this part faces and then UV unwrap. Now go over here in the UV editor. Select this part, open the side menu, then choose UV square, and here select to grid by shape. This will straighten the UVs. Make sure you have the UV square add-on installed. If not, download and install it to use it. Over here, decrease the bump height. Now this bump looks good, but over here at the back, this is not correct. So we'll do something like this here. Here, select this part faces and duplicate it and separate it by selection and hide and keep aside. Now select this part faces over here and delete it. Now select this edge and extrude scale inwards. Then move over here and scale it. Then select this edge, and here do Loop Tools Circle, and select this edge also, and do Loop Tools Circle, then add some loop cuts over here. Then go over here and do Set Flow. This smooths out the edges and makes the shape curve smoothly. Download and install the Set Flow or Edge Flow add-on to use it. Now here, let's add a shrink wrap modifier. And with the dropper, select the part we had kept aside before. Here, select this part edge and then grid fill it. After that, tweak the parameters to straighten the edges. Now select this part faces. And here create a new vertex group. Remove other parts assigned, and assign this selected part. Now over here in the shrink wrap modifier, select the group. Now this is smooth and good. Okay, over here we'll grid fill this nicely, so select this part faces, scale it, and delete it. Then again, grid fill, and here tweak the parameters and align to straighten the edges. Now from the side, move this part closer to the mesh, which we have targeted for the shrink wrap. Then select these edges and dissolve them. And then again, add cuts nicely. And press Alt-S to scale or shrink fatten. And now this is good. Here, select this edge and slide slightly. And now this part is nice and smooth and it looks good. If we go over here and change its material, we can see this part is nice and smooth with no artifacts or dents. Okay, now we'll mark seams and unwrap this part clearly, and then add the wave texture correctly. Here, apply the shrink wrap modifier, and here mark seam, and then select this part, and then here UV unwrap this part, then select this UV map, And then here, choose grid by shape. Here, rotate the UV map. And here, scale the UV map to make the wave pattern small. Here, select this small part and assign the same metal material. Then select this part UV map and scale this way here. Now this looks good over here. Okay, now for this material, we'll do something like this. So here, add a color ramp, then add a gradient texture, and then add mapping for it. Here, connect UV, and this connect into the color ramp. On the color ramp, press Ctrl-Shift-Left, click to preview this node. Now we can see clearly how the gradient effect looks, and we can tweak and adjust the gradient effect nicely. So over here, I'm trying to achieve the gradient fading effect. So over here, tweak these parameters this way and try to achieve the fading effect. Okay, so here we are getting the fading effect correctly, and it's coming through nicely. Okay, now connect this color ramp into the strength here, and now view the material. So now here in the color ramp, tweak these knobs and try to achieve the fading effect nicely. Here you can add one more knob, and then tweak and adjust this to achieve the fade. Now here, this looks okay. Here we will adjust the bump, and now this looks good. We can adjust later if needed. Now let's add a material for the other part areas. So first remove the UV grid material and then create a new material. Let's make it complete metallic, and here decrease the roughness and make it 0.05. Now let's add a wave texture. So here we want this material only for this part. So we'll add this same material separately only for this part. So separate the same material. Here, view this wave texture node and add mapping nodes, and here connect UV. Here select rings, and here choose spherical. Now in the UV map, do selection to cursor offset. This will move the map to the 3D cursor, and now these wave rings are in the middle center. Here adjust the scale of the wave rings. Now here add a bump node, connect this into height, and this into normals. Now view the material, and now here adjust this bump here. We'll add one more texture for this material and then blend both textures. So now here, add a noise texture node and add mapping nodes, and here connect UV. Now add a mix RGB node, and here connect this into color, and this into the other color. Now this connect into the height. Now here view the noise texture, and here adjust the scale. Let's make the scale something like this. Now here view the material, and here let's see how it looks. Here adjust the factor and try to merge both textures. Now here, let's copy all these nodes of this material and paste in this other material. Now here, let's preview this wave texture, and it looks something like this. So here, these wave lines have to be vertical. Okay, so over here, select this part and rotate this UV map. Okay, so over here, ring was set, so make it bands. And now again, rotate the UV map. And now these wave lines are straight vertical. Now scale over here this. Okay, now here, preview the noise texture. And here, tweak and adjust the scale over here. Okay, now preview the material. And now it looks something like this. Here, adjust the bump height. So here, tweak these parameters and try to get a good result. Here, now this looks okay. Okay, now let's add material for the back object. So here we'll add the same metallic material. Here, slightly tweak this bump here. Okay, now here for this inner part, let's add the same material which we added for the front object inner part. And now here, select this UV map and do selection to cursor offset. Now here, preview this wave texture. And here, this is good. Okay, now for this small part, select these edges and mark seam like this. Select this edge also and mark seam. And now select this part and then unwrap this part. And now add the same metallic material here. And now this is good. Okay, now here for this metallic material, let's give it a slight yellow tint to create a goldish tone. Copy the color in other materials too. All right, that's it for this part. We've added the materials and it's looking great. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and also comment below with your feedback. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.